please subscribe and get new stories every day. Once upon a time, nestled in the heart of a lush green valley, there was a house known to all as Sweet Home. This house was no ordinary dwelling. It was a place where laughter echoed through the halls, where the scent of fresh-baked bread wafted from the kitchen, and where love and warmth were felt in every corner. Sweet Home was built many years ago by a kind-hearted couple, Clara and Thomas, who had dreamt of creating a sanctuary for their family. They chose a spot near a gentle river that sang softly as it flowed, surrounded by fields of wildflowers that danced in the breeze. The house itself was a quaint, two-story structure made of sturdy oak wood, with a gabled roof and large windows that let in the golden sunlight. The story of Sweet Home begins on a bright spring morning. The sun had just risen, casting a soft glow over the valley. Birds chirped merrily in the trees, and a gentle breeze rustled the leaves. Inside the house, Clara was bustling about the kitchen, preparing breakfast for her family. The aroma of pancakes and maple syrup filled the air, mingling with the scent of freshly brewed coffee. Thomas, her husband, was out in the garden, tending to the vegetable patch. He loved the early mornings when the world was still quiet and the earth felt cool beneath his feet. He hummed a cheerful tune as he worked, carefully pulling weeds and checking on the progress of the tomatoes and carrots. Their children, Emily and Jack, were still asleep upstairs, nestled snugly in their beds. Emily, the elder of the two, was a bright and imaginative girl with a love for books and storytelling. Jack, younger by 2 years, was a curious and adventurous boy, always eager to explore and discover new things. As Clara flipped the pancakes and set the table, she glanced out the window and saw Thomas waving to her from the garden. She smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. Sweet Home was more than just a house. It was a place where their dreams had taken root and flourished. When breakfast was ready, Clara called up the stairs. "Emily, Jack, it's time to wake up. Breakfast is ready." There was a rustling of sheets and the sound of small feet padding across the wooden floor. Emily and Jack appeared at the top of the stairs, rubbing their eyes and yawning. They hurried down, excited for the delicious breakfast that awaited them. The family gathered around the kitchen table, which was adorned with a vase of wildflowers that Thomas had picked the day before. They held hands and said a small prayer of thanks before digging in. The room was filled with the sound of chatter and laughter as they shared stories and plans for the day. After breakfast, the children helped Clara with the dishes, while Thomas finished up his work in the garden. Emily and Jack were eager to spend the day outdoors, and Clara had promised to take them on a picnic by the river. They packed a basket with sandwiches, fruit, and Clara's famous chocolate chip cookies. Thomas joined them, carrying a blanket and a fishing rod. The family set off, following a narrow path that wound through the fields of wildflowers and led to the riverbank. The river was clear and cool, its water sparkling in the sunlight. They spread out the blanket under a large oak tree that provided shade and a perfect spot to relax. Emily and Jack ran to the edge of the river, skipping stones and watching the ripples spread out across the water. Thomas set up his fishing rod and cast his line into the river, hoping to catch something for dinner. Clara sat on the blanket, enjoying the peaceful surroundings and watching her children play. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together. As the afternoon wore on, they shared their picnic lunch, savoring the simple yet delicious meal. They talked and laughed, enjoying each other's company and the beauty of the world around them. The day seemed to stretch on forever, filled with moments of joy and contentment. When the sun began to set, casting a warm golden glow over the valley, they packed up their things and headed back to Sweet Home. The house stood welcoming and cozy, its windows glowing with the soft light of evening. Inside, they gathered in the living room, where a fire crackled in the fireplace. Emily and Jack cuddled up on the sofa with their favorite books, while Clara and Thomas sat nearby, sharing a pot of tea. As the night grew darker, the family felt the gentle pull of sleep. They said their good nights and climbed the stairs to their bedrooms, each feeling the comforting embrace of Sweet Home. In the quiet of the night, the house seemed to sigh with contentment, holding within its walls the love and happiness of the family it sheltered. It was a place where dreams were nurtured, where laughter was shared, and where the heart could truly find a home. And so, the story of Sweet Home continues, with each new day bringing more moments of joy, love, and togetherness. For in this special place, the magic of family and the beauty of life were cherished above all else. Days at Sweet Home began with the first light of dawn. The morning sun peeked over the hills, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold. The birds perched on the branches of the ancient oak tree in the yard greeted the new day with a chorus of cheerful songs. Clara was always the first to rise, slipping quietly out of bed to prepare breakfast for her family. The kitchen was Clara's domain, a place where she created delicious meals and wove magic with her hands. She loved the quiet moments before everyone else woke up, the stillness of the house and the soft glow of the early morning light. This morning, she decided to make her special cinnamon rolls, a family favorite. The sweet, spicy aroma soon filled the house, drawing Thomas from the garden and the children from their beds. Thomas had been up since dawn, working in the garden. The garden at Sweet Home was not just a source of food, but a labor of love. Thomas took great pride in his vegetable patch, which provided the family with fresh produce year-round. He loved the feel of the earth in his hands, the satisfaction of watching his plants grow and thrive. Emily and Jack, still rubbing the sleep from their eyes, came down the stairs with eager anticipation. The promise of cinnamon rolls was enough to make even the sleepiest of mornings bright. They hurried to the kitchen, where Clara greeted them with a warm smile and a hug. "Good morning, my darlings," she said, her eyes twinkling. "Breakfast is almost ready." The family gathered around the kitchen table, their faces lit with the soft morning light. As they enjoyed their breakfast, they talked about their plans for the day. Today was a special day, for it was the day of the annual summer fair in the village. The summer fair was a much-anticipated event, a day of fun and festivities that brought the entire community together. There were games and rides, food stalls offering delicious treats, and a grand parade that wound its way through the village streets. Emily and Jack had been looking forward to it for weeks. After breakfast, they quickly got ready. Clara packed a picnic basket with sandwiches, fruit, and lemonade, while Thomas made sure the children were dressed and ready to go. They set off with a sense of excitement, following the winding path that led from Sweet Home to the village. The village was bustling with activity when they arrived. Stalls lined the main street, offering everything from homemade jams and pastries to handmade crafts and toys. There were games and competitions, and the sound of laughter and music filled the air. Emily and Jack ran ahead, eager to explore everything the fair had to offer. Clara and Thomas followed at a more leisurely pace, greeting friends and neighbors as they made their way through the crowd. They stopped at various stalls, admiring the crafts and sampling the treats on offer. One of the highlights of the fair was the pie-eating contest, a messy but fun event that always drew a large crowd. This year, Jack decided he wanted to participate. He lined up with the other contestants, a determined look on his face. Clara and Thomas cheered him on as he dug into the pies, his face soon covered in berry filling. Emily, meanwhile, was fascinated by the pony rides. She had always loved horses and was thrilled to have the chance to ride one. She climbed onto the back of a gentle pony named Daisy, her eyes shining with excitement. As Daisy trotted around the ring, Emily felt a sense of freedom and joy that she would remember for a long time. The day passed in a blur of fun and laughter. They played games, rode the Ferris wheel, and watched the parade. By the time the sun began to set, they were all tired but happy. They made their way back to Sweet Home, the memories of the day etched in their hearts. Back at the house, Clara and Thomas prepared a simple dinner. They sat on the porch, watching as the last light of the day faded and the stars began to twinkle in the night sky. Emily and Jack, worn out from the day's excitement, were soon asleep, their dreams filled with the wonders of the fair. Sweet Home stood quietly, its windows glowing softly in the night. Inside, the house held the echoes of the day's laughter and joy, a sanctuary of love and warmth. As Clara and Thomas sat together, they felt a deep sense of gratitude for their life, for their family, and for the home they had built. The days that followed were filled with the simple pleasures of life at Sweet Home. There were more picnics by the river, more afternoons spent in the garden, and more evenings gathered around the fireplace. Each day brought new adventures and new memories, weaving a tapestry of love and happiness that made Sweet Home a place like no other. The seasons changed, bringing new colors and new rhythms to their lives. Spring brought the promise of new growth, with flowers blooming and the garden coming to life. Summer was a time of warmth and abundance, with long days and bountiful harvests. Autumn painted the valley in hues of gold and red, and the crisp air was filled with the scent of apples and cinnamon. Winter brought a quiet beauty, with snow blanketing the ground and the house aglow with the warmth of the hearth. Through it all, Sweet Home remained a constant, a place where love was always present and dreams were always nurtured. It was a place where the simple joys of life were celebrated, where every day was a gift, and where the heart could always find a home. And so, the story of Sweet Home continues, with each new day bringing more moments of joy, love, and togetherness. For in this special place, the magic of family and the beauty of life are cherished above all else. Winter had settled in around Sweet Home, transforming the landscape into a serene white wonderland. The snow had blanketed the valley, creating a soft, shimmering expanse that glistened under the pale winter sun. Sweet Home, with its oak wood structure and gabled roof, stood proudly amidst this winter scene, a beacon of warmth and comfort. Inside, the house was alive with the cozy sounds of family life. The fireplace in the living room crackled merrily, casting a warm glow that danced on the walls. Clara and Thomas had just finished decorating the house for the holidays. Garlands of pine adorned the mantels and doorways, and a beautifully decorated Christmas tree stood in the corner, its lights twinkling like stars. Emily and Jack were busy making holiday crafts at the kitchen table. The room was filled with the scent of cookies baking in the oven, a delightful mix of ginger, cinnamon, and vanilla. The children chatted excitedly about their plans for Christmas, their faces alight with anticipation. "Do you think we'll get to go sledding tomorrow?" Jack asked, his eyes wide with excitement. "I hope so," Emily replied. "The hill behind the house is perfect for it. And maybe we can build a snowman too." Clara smiled as she listened to their conversation. She loved the way the holidays brought out the joy and wonder in her children. She glanced out the window at the snow-covered landscape, feeling a deep sense of peace and contentment. Thomas entered the kitchen, brushing snow off his coat. "It's really coming down out there," he said, hanging his coat by the door. "Looks like we're in for a white Christmas." Clara handed him a mug of hot cocoa, topped with whipped cream and a sprinkle of cinnamon. "Perfect timing," she said. "I just made these." Thomas took a sip, savoring the warmth and sweetness. "This is wonderful," he said, smiling at Clara. "Thank you." The family spent the evening together, enjoying the simple pleasures of the season. They sang Christmas carols by the fire, their voices blending harmoniously. Emily and Jack took turns reading their favorite holiday stories aloud, their voices filled with excitement and wonder. As the night grew darker, they gathered around the table for a special holiday dinner. Clara had prepared a feast with roasted turkey, mashed potatoes, cranberry sauce, and all the trimmings. The centerpiece was a beautifully decorated gingerbread house that Emily and Jack had helped create. After dinner, they exchanged gifts, each one carefully chosen and wrapped with love. Emily gave her parents a hand-knitted scarf, her first knitting project, while Jack presented them with a birdhouse he had built and painted himself. Clara and Thomas were touched by the thoughtfulness of their children's gifts and hugged them tightly. The night ended with the family snuggled together on the sofa, watching their favorite holiday movie. The fire crackled softly, and the room was filled with the soft glow of the Christmas tree lights. Outside, the snow continued to fall, blanketing the world in a peaceful hush. The days that followed were filled with the magic of winter. The family spent hours playing in the snow, their laughter echoing through the valley. They built snowmen and snow forts, had snowball fights, and went sledding down the hill behind the house. In the evenings, they would gather by the fire, warming their hands and feet, and share stories and dreams for the future. One particularly cold evening, as the wind howled outside, Clara decided to teach Emily and Jack how to bake bread. They gathered in the kitchen, the warmth of the oven and the delicious smell of baking filling the air. Clara showed them how to mix the ingredients, knead the dough, and shape it into loaves. The children watched in awe as the dough rose and transformed into golden, crusty loaves of bread. "This is amazing, Mom," Emily exclaimed, taking a bite of the freshly baked bread. Jack nodded in agreement, his mouth full of warm, buttery bread. "Can we make this every week?" Clara laughed, her heart swelling with pride and love. "Of course we can," she said. "Baking bread together can be our new family tradition." As winter slowly gave way to spring, the snow began to melt, revealing the first signs of new life. The garden, which had lain dormant under the blanket of snow, began to stir. Tiny green shoots pushed their way through the soil, and the trees began to bud. Thomas and the children spent hours in the garden, preparing the soil and planting seeds. They worked together, their hands dirty and their hearts full of hope for the new growing season. Clara watched them from the kitchen window, feeling a deep sense of gratitude for the life they had built together. Spring brought a burst of color and life to Sweet Home. The wildflowers in the fields bloomed in a riot of colors, and the air was filled with the sweet scent of blossoms. The river, swollen with the melted snow, sang a lively tune as it flowed through the valley. The family spent their days outdoors, enjoying the beauty of the season. They went on long walks through the fields, had picnics by the river, and watched the birds build their nests in the trees. Emily and Jack loved exploring the woods, searching for hidden treasures and discovering new wonders. One sunny afternoon, as they were exploring the woods, they stumbled upon an old abandoned treehouse. It was weathered and worn, but still sturdy. The children were thrilled by their discovery and immediately ran back to tell their parents. "Mom, Dad, you have to come see this," Jack exclaimed, his eyes shining with excitement. Thomas and Clara followed them to the treehouse, curious to see what had captured their children's imagination. When they saw the old treehouse, they shared a look of understanding and smiled. "This could be a wonderful project for us," Thomas said. "We can fix it up and make it a special place for you kids." Emily and Jack were overjoyed at the idea. They spent the next few weeks working on the treehouse, with Thomas guiding them. They sanded the wood, repaired the ladder, and painted the walls. Clara helped them make cushions and curtains, adding a cozy touch. When the treehouse was finally finished, it was a sight to behold. It had become a magical hideaway, a place where the children could let their imaginations run wild. They spent hours in the treehouse, playing games, reading books, and creating their own adventures. Summer arrived in a blaze of sunshine and warmth. The garden at Sweet Home was in full bloom, with vegetables and flowers growing in abundance. The family spent their days harvesting the fruits of their labor, enjoying the bountiful produce and the vibrant beauty of the garden. The long, lazy days of summer were filled with joy and laughter. They swam in the river, went on bike rides through the countryside, and had barbecues in the backyard. The evenings were spent under the stars, with the family gathered around a campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. One evening, as they sat around the campfire, Thomas shared a story from his childhood. He told them about the time he and his friends had gone on a treasure hunt, searching for a hidden chest of gold that was said to be buried somewhere in the woods. "We never found the treasure," Thomas said, smiling at the memory. "But we had so much fun searching for it." Emily and Jack were fascinated by the story and decided they wanted to go on their own treasure hunt. The next day, Thomas and Clara helped them create a treasure map, marking the spots where they might find clues. The treasure hunt took them all over the valley, following the clues and solving the puzzles. They searched high and low, exploring every nook and cranny. In the end, they found a small chest buried near the river. Inside, they discovered a collection of old coins, a few small trinkets, and a note from Thomas, congratulating them on their adventure. The treasure hunt was just one of the many adventures they had that summer. Each day brought new experiences, and new memories, weaving a tapestry of love and joy that made Sweet Home a place like no other. As the summer days grew shorter and the air began to cool, the family prepared for the coming of autumn. They harvested the last of the vegetables from the garden, preserving what they could for the winter months. The leaves on the trees began to change color, painting the valley in hues of gold and red. Autumn at Sweet Home was a time of reflection and gratitude. The family spent their days enjoying the crisp, cool air and the beauty of the changing landscape. They went on long walks through the woods, collecting colorful leaves and acorns. Clara and the children made leaf prints and crafts, decorating the house with the colors of the season. One of their favorite autumn traditions was apple picking. They visited a nearby orchard, spending the day among the apple trees, filling baskets with crisp, juicy apples. Clara would use the apples to make pies, applesauce, and cider, filling the house with the delicious scent of cinnamon and spices. As the days grew shorter and the nights grew longer, the family began to prepare for the coming winter. They stacked firewood by the fireplace, made warm quilts and blankets, and stocked up on supplies. Sweet Home was a place of warmth and comfort, a sanctuary where they could weather any storm. The cycle of seasons continued, each one bringing its own beauty and its own challenges. Through it all, Sweet Home remained a constant, a place where love and laughter were always present. It was a place where the simple joys of life were celebrated, where dreams were nurtured, and where the heart could always find a home. The story of Sweet Home is one of love, family, and the beauty of everyday life. It is a story that continues with each new day, each new season, and each new generation. For in this special place, the magic of family and the beauty of life are cherished above all else. And so, as the years passed, Sweet Home remained a beacon of warmth and love, a place where the heart could always find a home. The legacy of Clara and Thomas, and their love for their family, lived on in the walls of Sweet Home, a testament to the power of love and the beauty of life.